welcome back. Finally have something that I consider to be a good video, making a lot of swarf. So hopefully somebody picks up something maybe from how I do things. I'll explain what the video is about here in a minute with the not the intro, first video segment. I will put a link in the description to Deez Workshop, so for anybody that's interested. Hope you enjoy, and this is going to be a two-parter. I don't know if I said that or not, but alright, enjoy. Alright, first I want to say on YouTube I've been watching Deez Workshop ever since he came on the air. He's been about a year now. Just started learning. He bought the Vevor lathe, and everybody's been helping him over time as he encounters problems and as he's learning the whole hobby, how to machine and stuff. So, but to get the whole history, you'll have to watch some of his last few videos. He's evidently the Vevor lathe that he has the chart on it for cutting threads, metric and imperial. But half the threads he can't cut because you need a 72 tooth gear. And it's kind of funny, it's like, why would you ship a lathe without all the gears? But he's been searching and searching, trying to find the gear. And I believe he bought a set off of eBay. I'm not sure whether it was eBay, but he bought a set of gears, got them in, was thrilled to death, till he realized the bore was the wrong size, it's too big. So he finally contacted Vevor, and they couldn't help him, but they did reimburse him for the set of gears, so he got a bunch of gears he can't use for free. But I had offered to make the 72 tooth gear for him. So, and he took me up on the offer, and to prepare for it, I've been trying to draft up what everything is. He did do, I had emailed him some questions on dimensions, and so he did a private video for me, which I watched. And it was really interesting how that lathe is put together. My lathe has the posts with the keyway in it, the gear goes on and it runs. His has small posts, which a sleeve goes on, and the sleeve has the the keyway on it, which locks the gears together. So, I got most of the dimensions here, but he sent the package of some of the gears and stuff for me to help me make the gear that he needs. Oh, man. I can't believe Vevor does not have, he was saying he named them all off, both imperial and metric, the TPIs that he can't cut because he doesn't have the gear. So in projects that he's been doing, he's been making sacrifices here. Oh, wow. I could use that, I'll tell you that. Oh, yeah. Pig nets, huh? Oh, wow, here's the pieces. Hey, man. Wow, yeah, they're big. I don't have it here. Where did I put that thing? Over here, right? Yeah, to prepare for it, I had a piece of scrap, and I think I cut it too thin. Way too thin compared to this. Am I oh, I'm pretty darn close. But if you'll notice, I didn't realize that his gears, because they join together, has this little like washer built into the gear, which is this shelf. So that's why I've got the comparator stand here. I can figure out how big these things are. What have we got? Take it down. Surface already cleaned up earlier. Zero it out. So my thing, I think I measured 301 thou. Yeah, it's cleaned up. So 300, yep, and 1 thou, right on the money. What is his? That's pretty clean. Oh man, quite a bit more, huh? 300, and yeah, so I went too far with this. I have another piece that I can use. So this is like 315, 16, and then I can subtract this from it. Wow, that's pretty big. 10, 20, 30, 40, about 40 thousandths more. So there's that guy, and he's got a 66 here. Oh, that's cool. He made these punches and hardened them. That is awesome. That is, man, that's good knurling too. Look at that. Jeez. And I'm sure he made this guy too. Looks like a magnet in here or something. Yep, sure enough. I didn't know. This is probably a video coming up, I'm sure. Alright, I'm not going to go any further here because there might be some private stuff in there, but this is what I needed, and I think this is why I have gauge pins too. His thing is supposed to be 742, 72 teeth. Did I say what it? 12 millimeters? 720. Yeah, 12 millimeters on the outside. What are these? Let me measure these. Okay, bring out the good old Mitutoyo. Zeros out. I probably should go 471. Yeah, so I'm not sure. Then I gotta figure out what's wrong or what he needs. He says there's a sleeve that's supposed to go in here and goes on the shaft on the banjo on the machine. And I think he said these were too big for the machine. No, I stand corrected. Since he's written on these things, these are the ones that go to his machine. These are the actual gears from his set. Okay, so this is the real stuff. So I can put gauge pins in here. Boy, they're pretty sloppy looking. No, I guess not. Steel, pretty nicely made. Wow, this should be mod 1 too. Yeah, I can compare it to one of my gears and say that it is mod 1. It should mesh nicely. Have to do it under the magnifying glass, but oh yeah, it meshes. Ooh, these are shallow. Really, this is deeper. Yeah, this one's deeper. This is machined wrong. The peaks are missing. That would be a problem. So, not to spec. This one, a lot better teeth on it. So they completely mesh on this. Alright, well for now, I know what I gotta do. I've got some measuring and things, and I'm gonna have to cut a new blank here. This is getting more and more interesting the more I dig into this. Now, in the previous clip, I just showed throwing the gear on the comparator stand without accuracy. I just wanted to get a crude feeling for the size of these gears. Off camera, I cleaned everything up, very careful, measured exactly what these gears are, and filled in the missing numbers to the print. So, put this aside for a second. I was looking at these gears, and particularly the one that I said wasn't manufactured correctly. The teeth were too short on it compared to this one. And then that would cause a problem. Oh, first up, in the previous clip I said the holes were too big. I was wrong. The problem was the set that he bought, the keyways were all 4 millimeter. He needed 3 millimeter, and that's why he couldn't use it, because there'd be play and slop in there. And then I was thinking, it'd be easier for me to make a bushing with a long 4 millimeter keyway in it, and then he could use that whole set. And I might do that anyway. But yeah, these are the correct gears, 3 millimeter keyway. It wasn't the size of the hole. That was wrong. So now I'm looking at these, and from math, the number of teeth plus 2 is the diameter of the gear in millimeters, and you can convert it to inches and measure it. Turns out the one that was not the spec, the diameter is correct. The one where the teeth are made correctly is undersized. There's a lot of fuzz all over these things. So, but in any case, I'm sitting here and I'm staring at this gear, and I caught there's one tooth chipped off. So yeah, it was going to cause a problem, and it broke. So now I'm thinking I need to make a 66 gear also for him. But I was thinking, do I need, what is he missing? Why does he need the 66? So I went and looked at one of his videos. He was talking about the change gears, and he was zoomed in on the front of his machine, the chart that was there. And I couldn't see the bottom, but I could only see the metric chart. But I did find another machine on Google where the top and the bottom chart, the top chart does match his machine. So I have to assume the bottom chart is correct too for imperial threads. But I'm looking through this on 66 and nothing uses the 66 tooth gear. Yeah, there's 72s are in here. Then I started making a chart. I just did metric, and the chart doesn't list 2.5, 3.5, 4, and 5 millimeter pitches. So he can't cut any of those threads. There's no gears listed for it. He can do the 6, 8, 10, and 12, and 3 millimeters. They're listed there. But yeah, he needs the 72 for the 8, the 12, what else was it? Something else. No, so he can do 3 millimeters, he can do 6 millimeters, and he can do 10 millimeters. So there's only 2 that he can't do in the metric. The other weird thing is they're listing thread pitches here that don't exist. Long time ago, Suncoast Precision sent me a wall poster which lists all the metric pitches, all the imperial pitches, and 0.75, so on, does not exist. As far, I didn't dig in real deep, but I assume that chart lists everything. You know, why not? The same way with the imperial. Nobody has an 11 threads per inch. What else was there? There was a bunch of them. He can do 7/16, 14, 7/8, 5/8, 11, 3/4, 10. He needs the 72 tooth gear though to do the 20 threads per inch and 28, which is a 1/4 inch threads. But they list 19, 40, and 44. Huh? That's and you only need the 66 for a 22 and a 44 threads per inch imperial. Doesn't exist. So I don't know why they gave him that gear. The other interesting thing is you go on eBay and you look for the gear sets like he bought. None of them have a 66. They have a 65, and they do show the Vevor banner at the top of these gears. So it's really interesting. And yeah, they did show a 72, but this is all over the place. So I don't know what's what here, but I'm going to just make the 72 tooth gear. This too, I was more interested in what the size is of this. And from all the playing around, it looks like all the holes, like it's supposed to be 12 millimeter, they drilled at 12. And they're undersizing all the shafts. This is 12 millimeter is 0.4724. This was, I think this is a 7.3, right? Where is it? There, yeah, 7.3. 473. All my gauge pins are undersized. So I mic this guy. This is not 4. This is 4.728, and it just sneaks in here. I mean, it's a tight fit on both of them. So I think what I'm going to do first goes right through, and it's kind of a crude. It rocks slightly too. So I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be 12 millimeter. I do have a 12 millimeter reamer on order from eBay. Should be here in a couple of days. So I'm going to make the mandrel first and make sure it just fits these two gears perfectly. And then I can get on with cutting this guy off and facing it, making the hole and everything. I'll have the reamer by then. and then I can mount it all up and start cutting the teeth on it. And like I said, I may make their bushing here for 4mm keyway, because I do have 4mm keyways and a whole assortment of 3s, 4s, and 6s, everything. And yeah, I'm going to be sending him some spare 3s here. Whoop, turn that over, 3mm. And I do have the long one in there that's going to make it for 2 gears here to go back to back. So if he messes up that keyway, he's got spares, 2 spares. So that's where I am so far. So let's get on with making the mandrel. Alright, to make this mandrel, I want to reproduce this guy, because it's got the right depth here to fit on the gear, just shy of the face, so I can tighten the nut with the washer on it. And I'm on this lathe because the collet can hang onto this really good. I've tightened that down with the wrench, because when I go to do that thread, I know this is going to spin, and I don't want to be breaking things loose because I'm going to introduce run out. So I'm just not going to show a whole lot of machining this. I'm just going to make a quick pass. It's a 1/2 inch. I just want to clean up the entire length, set the saddle stop so I can do that. Now I got to use the caliper and get that right on, I think it was 12mm. And then I got to turn it down for threading, and then that's again when I'm going to use the tailstock and the threading die. I don't want this thing spinning around, so I'm going to use my CNC feed, which is running at, what is it, like 12.5 steps or something a second on. I just want to touch this thing. May have to make a couple of passes. Tell you that pretty good speed. Where is it? Touch my, there, I just barely touched that thing. It looks like that's going to do the entire surface, yeah. Alright, probably went deeper than I need to, but 5C should hold this just fine when I put it in this index or the spindex to do it. Oh, I'm going to lose my mark, but okay. So that red line's going to disappear. Alright, so not much to this thing. I gotta bring the print, just double check it, what I need for that. And then I gotta set up the saddle stop for the correct depth here. Slowly but surely. Maybe I didn't, yeah, now I'm getting a curl off of it, so otherwise it's busting up, which tells me I went just far enough, perfect, to clean up the OD of it. Yeah, I'll probably use the same power feed to do the shoulder for the gear here. And it's sad I found out too, the Vevor cannot cut from the right to the left, or left to right, because of the way the gears are. It can only go in, which is a pain, but alright, bring it back when I'm done. Alright, I had to switch out to 5/8 because the 1/2 inch just didn't give me enough of a back shoulder. So I'm right there, within 2/10 of where I want to be. It does not rock. I went with 10mm instead of the 3/8 because not as deep a thread, so it never spun in there. So everything's perfect. Clamps right on there, so I've got it. Not going to take it out of the machine, the lathe, until I get my 12mm reamer. That way when I make my blank, I may have to touch this thing slightly. I could also just use sandpaper, but right now it's running so true, and it is tight, let me tell you. Jeez, it's a fight trying to get it on and off. You gotta wiggle it to get it to go. So I probably should put some grease on there so it doesn't just seize on it. But for now, I guess I'll just leave this on here. I also set the depth for the shoulder that's on this thing. There. Yeah, it's just below, because I ran the tool, the cutter up against it, backed out. So, oh, I set the saddle stop, backed up, pulled it off, put it to the saddle stop, and then I ran the compound in about 20 thousandths. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave it like that. So, okay, enough of work for today. Wow, cut that off by hand with a hacksaw? No, thank you. That's a good 10 minutes so far to get that far. Cutting off the blank for the gear, the 72-tooth gear. So it's going to be probably another 5 minutes easy to get all the way through it, and it cuts it pretty darn straight, because when I put it in the lathe to do the facing or whatever, it only takes off maybe 10 thou to get it flat. Just wanted to share that. And this saw too, man, I had lots of hours on this thing, cutting all the fence pieces, a lot of other work, so this has probably got a good 100 hours on it. I think I've gone through 3 or 4 blades, just wore them out until they snapped, so, alright. Just thought I should share this. This chuck spider is one of the best things I've ever made, because it allows me to hold really thin things. I'll show you in a second, because I'm trying to make a gear, to make this gear. But there's 4 set screws in it. Well, I originally made one for my 3-jaw, and then when I got the Sanu 4-jaw, I said, you know, I definitely need one for this. But I thought I'd show how I check it. There's 4 set screws in there, and I just basically spin it around, and it's on the 0. It's on the 0. So this guy is already adjusted and it's holding it. Do have a piece of tape here, so I know you can't see the label, but the Sanu engraving is underneath there. So alright, get this guy. Oh, undo that. Just back him up, so I don't want to damage him. Really like this indicator, even though it's just a cheap one. Oh, come on. Wow, these magnets really hang on. So this is why I like it. You know, I've already got that side done, and I was turning this down already, and I figured, you know, I better check to see how flat this thing is. I'm gonna have to go get a hammer. Yeah, I don't have it here, to bang this thing, make sure it's flat. But that's how I do it, because you can see I can get pretty darn thin with this.